Hello. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. My name is Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, California, San Diego County to be exact.
Welcome. My name is Diane Williams, and I am from beautiful Redondo Beach, California.
And today we have a hot topic for you. It is our 34th episode, and we're going to be chatting about the truth about your net worth straight after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Oh, yes. Exciting topic today, the truth about your net worth. Welcome to my amazing co-host, Ken Kleinberg, and our amazing special guest, Diane Williams. A little bit about Diane. Firstly, she has over 14 years experience in finance, 10 years in entertainment, and 10 years in fashion. She's no stranger to entrepreneurship, personal growth, and majoring in the School of Hard Knocks. Today, we're going to explore what she calls your real net worth. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you here, Diane. My goodness, what an experience you got. You don't even look that old, and you got 14 years finance, 10 years entertainment, 10 years fashion. My goodness, you've had quite a life there. Where did it all start for you? Did it start with the finance, entertainment, or the fashion?
Okay, so, you want to go forward or backwards? We can go, like literally, it's like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride for any of you that have been to Disneyland. We'll start with what I recently, and I'll just kind of give you a bit of a background. I'm going to keep it brief, but I went through 2008. For some of you, you may remember that it was one of the greatest downturns of our economic time, really, and I found myself without a job. I found myself without a career. I found myself without a partner in life. Everything blew up, so to speak, not in a good way. I was then a single mom of a 13-year-old, and somebody introduced me to a finance company. I became a client and started with them, and I fell in love with what they were teaching. And I became a product of what they taught, and I asked them if I could work there. Fast forward 14 years, I've been doing it, and I love it. I love it. Prior to that, I was a store manager. Actually, I was in retail and fashion for many, many years. Starting off, I'll go back to my New York days. I started off at Macy's buying and did that for, I don't know, so many years, like probably 10 years. And then ended up in the entertainment industry when I moved to California. And I worked for some of the greats. I not to name names, but I worked for some really very powerful people in Hollywood. I got the greatest experience ever. I got my SAG card, ended up in a movie, just stuff that happens to you that you're just not expecting to happen to you. But I'm a huge fan of the entertainment industry. I love it to this day. And I look back and I think, wow, you never know where you're headed. You never know what direction you're going to end up in sometimes, when you go through a transition. But if I had to like put fashion, entertainment, and finance together, I couldn't have done it any better. You know what I mean? Because I have just like so many different types of experience, and taking that skill set and being able to put it into your own company and running your own business it's pretty amazing.
Phenomenal background. We've got Justin here with us. Good to see you, Justin. Justin's actually in the film industry,
Oh,
and he's
really?
some
Hi,
of the
Justin.
best life stories of people I meet start in retail or fast food. Love to meet one another. Thank you, Justin. Great to have you with us. Justin's a dear friend in America, and he's working on a big production, I believe, over the next 6 months. So he's a very cool guy to get to know. Production manager, coordinator here. There you go. Great to meet a fellow entertainment industry person on here as well. Fantastic, Justin. Thank you for joining us. Let us know where you are in the US right now. And for those joining us through this live stream, we like to make this interactive. So please let us know where you're joining us from. And if you have any questions for any of us through the next hour or so, we would love to address that. So net worth is the topic today, and we've mentioned business here in the School of Hard Knocks. And I must say, a lot of business people I know are generally rebels in some way, right? They generally go against the norm. They're not the kind of people that are generally happy to be in a 9-to-5 job or to be told what to do in any way whatsoever. And so when it comes to business, this is something that none of us are born great at business. It's something that we learn as we go. And in fact, there's a lot of School of Hard Knocks going on, even just having a business. It is one of the most challenging things that we will do. And we think, well, what is the point of business? I mean, yes, we want to make a difference, etc. For a lot of people, it's about the freedom that the business will give them. However, for a lot of people, they also can become slaves to their business as well if they don't learn to grow the business. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges for the genius entrepreneurs out there, is actually to let go, to build a team, to have trust in others. And we know that, there's a lot of scammers out there, etc., etc. So Diane, for those who are wanting to grow a business, what are some of the fundamental principles you would say that you've learned over time that are needed to have a successful business?
It's funny. One of my friends was just posting about this on not Instagram, on LinkedIn. And he was saying, here's 3 things I've learned in business. What have you learned? Right. And it's funny that you just brought that up. So, you don't want to steal somebody else's thunder. Right. So I had to really I just stopped and I thought, okay, if I could give somebody else advice, like what would it be? Number 1 is you have to humble yourself at some point in order to grow. And it's like being stripped away of all your bad habits, stripping away all the things that don't serve you so that you can replace those things with not just a different mindset, but attracting different people to your life to allow you to scale and grow, right? I think another thing is not just the humbleness, but I think it's also showing vulnerability, because, this business, when I say the School of Hard Knocks, there are days when you're, barely breathing, right? You want to curl up and go back to bed. There are days when you're like ready to take on the world. And there are days when you're literally like in tears and calling your CEO saying, I can't do this. I can't do this. Right. And they talk you off the ledge. And, but you have to literally be able to be vulnerable in front of other people too, because everybody is vulnerable. But if they don't see that from you, they think that you are, the know-it-all, or the powerhouse that doesn't listen to anybody. And so you have to be vulnerable. And I think the last thing really is you have to find the gifts in everyone, because a team doesn't operate without everybody contributing. And like you said, it takes an army. You have to be able to build a team to scale. And a lot of that's personal growth and development. And when I talk about the School of Hard Knocks, I really mean, personally developing and growing, but with being willing to do that. When it gets too hard, most people are like, I'm out. And they quit sometimes before they even start. And that's sad to me, because there's so much growth. There's so much in everyone, right, that they can contribute. But as a leader, I think it's allowing yourself to find the good in everyone and where they fit in your life and what they're there for. If I'm introduced to someone, there's a reason why I'm introduced to them. So
Yes.
those are the three things I would say.
Yeah, I love that. I think they're absolutely gold, those tips. And people want that relatability. They want that trust factor. And this is, the interesting thing about it is that often the older we get, the more we get ripped off, or the more shonky people we come across. And yet here we are. We want to have trust in people, and we keep, putting our heart on the line or putting our business on the line by taking on certain team members sometimes that, there's always going to be that risk potentially that everything could go sour. It's kind of like any relationship, right? I mean, 60% of marriages end in divorce. I think that's saying a lot about trust right there. And so it is a continual thing I've noticed where you really have to do your due diligence, I think, very carefully before you choose to go into bed with someone, so to speak, whether it's in business or in life. I think you need to be careful who you let into your space and be aware of different energies. Are people lifting you up? Are they bringing you down? Having a good environment, a good environment of people around you. And this is partly why I do so much personal development. I do so much networking and learning and growing, because I want to hang out with people who are up to big things in life, who are consistently taking on their lives and being faithful with the small, and the big will come. I was just saying to Ken just before we went live, be faithful with the small, the big will come. And also I've learned more and more to trust my intuition as well. Is something that I've tended to run away from myself a lot in the past. I've tended to just keep busy with work to avoid having alone time. And more so lately, I've been really appreciating time on my own, time actually to organize my space and, things like that, rather than running away from myself. I've learned to really trust myself and love myself. And that's been quite a practice as well, because that's something we're not taught to do as kids. We're not brought up being taught to love ourselves or anything like that. Yet I think it's absolutely crucial. And there's a difference between arrogance and confidence, but I think you need a certain level of confidence and a bit of brazenness about you also in business. And if you want to grow your net worth, it's very, very relevant to the conversation here today about your net worth. And they say that the more you help people, the more money you make, right? The more you're of service, the more money you make. And so with this, the truth about your net worth, Diane, I'd love to hear your take on this, because there's been a lot of discussion lately that we actually don't own our own properties, in fact, and that the government actually own our properties. And they actually have the final say on things. And a lot of people don't have their own title deeds and all that kind of thing, which most people's net worth is in property or in things, I guess, in cars maybe, etc. So what's your take on what's going on with net worth?
Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit, because, we probably should have talked a little bit more about this, but I'm going to be real frank with you. Like, my whole concept is about your real net worth. People think their net worth is their bank account, their homes, their Gucci bag, their position in life, their Tesla, their all the things that they've accumulated. But I believe that your real net worth is you. They say you'll never out-earn your identity. You'll never out-earn yourself. And so my tagline is kind of like, okay, look, your net worth is based on the bottom line, right? You've got assets and you've got liabilities. And once you subtract the liabilities from the assets, you come out with the bottom line. But you have to look at, what are your personal assets? We can get into the financial stuff in a minute, but I really want to reel this in, because I think this is really more about, like, if you look at what are your assets as a person, what are your liabilities as a person? Subtract those out, and where does that leave you? That's where you are right now.
That's very interesting. And that's very much a point of view, isn't it? It's a point of view, what you consider your assets and your liabilities to be.
I deal with money all the time, right? Like, that's what I do. Now, I'm not in real estate, so don't take anything I say for granted, like, don't take that to the bank. But I've worked with people. I've worked in service. I've worked in, in finance. I've done a lot of things. But what I've learned is that when it all comes down to the end, it's about you. Everybody wants the secret sauce, the easy way out, like, Ken, how do I lose 50 pounds in 3 days? Like, kill yourself. Okay. Right. No. So, everybody wants the quick fix, but what you really have to do is take an inventory of yourself. Like, you're always looking at your bank accounts and your statements and, your cars and your house and this and that. And you think that that's your identity, but it's not. That is not who you are.
Yeah.
You are what you bring to every situation, to every business meeting, to every client, to every family event at the table. Like, wherever you go, there you are. You're either right. And you said we're not taught to love ourselves from the beginning, right?
No.
We're taught to love others, right? We're taught to love others and try to be loved. But it's funny, we never were taught to love ourselves. So your real net worth to me is about self-love. It's about who are you and how do you show up, and what are you going to do with what you have, and how are you going to make a difference? Because there's a million financial advisors. There's a million people out there doing weight loss. There's a million people that are coaches, a million people that are, that there's millions, right? So what sets me apart from other people? Because I'm me.
Exactly. I was just going to finish that statement for you. It's you. People come to you because they, okay, so let's take me, for example. People come to me, and just because I'm saying this doesn't mean that I don't still have work to do on my inner self. Like, there's definitely some deeper work that I've been doing lately, but realizing that people come to me because they want to hear it from my voice. They want to hear it from my personality. They want to hear it from my heart. They can go to anybody on YouTube and find a video on how to sustainably lose weight and everything else and blah, blah, blah. They can go through all that. The reason why they come to me or the reason why they come to you is because they want to hear it from you. They are interested in you. I had another person, I forget who it was, but I had one person the other day say to me, and it was like, it hit me so powerfully. They said, people are not going to buy your coaching. They're not going to buy because of the big program you have. They're not going to buy because of this. And they are going to buy you. They're going to buy in because of you, your personality, who you are. That is what they are going to buy.
Yes, it's the business of you, right? The business of you. People follow people. It is the business of you. And this is the thing, this is where people connect. And you're talking about authenticity earlier, Diane, as well. People want to see that vulnerability and authenticity. They want to see that you're a real person going through all your ups and downs, and, that you're not just a puffer fish on social media, with a lot of Botox. They don't want to see all that, right? They want to see that.
Or no Botox.
Yeah. To be more specific, this person said to me, they are going to buy your passion. You.
True.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's your real net worth, right? That's it. It starts with you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate that I grew up in the company that I did, but we learned from the time you start to encourage, praise, and recognize people, because everybody is so quick to judge, oh, you were late for a meeting. Oh, you didn't get this done on time. There's so much negativity, like literally out in the world. And then you got to go to your job and they're negative too. Like, really? Like, no wonder people are like, stuck, right? People are stuck. And I just feel like, if you could find the good in people, if you can find, how to encourage them, how to praise them, how to recognize them for the things that they're doing well, they're going to do more of those things. And that's going to create more success for them. 90% of everything that we do, you guys, is our mindset. And you all know that, right? I could pop a gummy, right? Like, I don't know, one of those gummies or whatever the heck they're putting out on whatever social media, right? Here, drink mushroom tea or pop a gummy, do this, melt your fat away. I'm like, really? Okay, so whatever, I'm sure some of them work. I don't have time to try them all. Like, if you want to send them to me, I'll try them. But I'm just going to say this, really. It's the mindset. The reason that they would work with you, Ken, is because you put a 12-week program together to allow them to learn how to develop that lifestyle.
Yes.
It has to be sustainable. Anything you do in life has to be sustainable. Otherwise, it's not. Right?
It's true.
And so the same with finance. Like you have to, well, first of all, you have to have money to save. But if you make saving a habit, then it becomes a habit, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. It just becomes a habit, right? And there's good habits and bad habits, right? So I've just watched, money come, money go, money comes from here. Money is energy. It's nothing more than energy. And if
100%.
it passes, and what I love about it, and this is just my concept, like when you think money is energy, but money is your energy. So whatever energy you have around money is what's going to happen to your money, right? But I look at it in this way. It's like, okay, if I make money and then I earned my money, I made this money, I pay my bills, I do whatever, I'm going to go buy, let's just say Ken's coaching program. I go buy Ken's coaching program. That now gives Ken the ability to pay his bills. And now he can take that money and he can go and, go to the chiropractor. And now the chiropractor is going to take that money, pay his bills, and then he gets to feed his kids. So money is nothing more than energy. And all it does is it moves 24/7 everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
24/7. When you're sleeping, money's working. Literally. All the time, 100%. So if you aren't in alignment with who you're supposed to be, right, then you're probably not in alignment with your money. You're probably not in alignment with maybe your career or where you're supposed to end up or where you're going. It's all a journey. I didn't wake up one day and think, oh, I'm going to go sell insurance and, open Roth IRAs for people. And that was never on my bucket list, like never. But I'm just saying, right? I was going to be a famous actress. Honestly, that didn't work out, but that's okay, because I'm here now. And that's where I'm supposed to be. And all those trials, all the mistakes I made, all the stuff, Michael Jr., I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's an African-American comedian, hilarious. He's a Christian comedian, actually. So he does like gigs in churches, but he's hilarious. And he said, look, everything that you've been doing is just practice. Like, it's just practice, right? Like, honestly, Ken, like getting on to do the the feed and the technical stuff going wrong. It's just another opportunity to learn, what button am I supposed to press, right? It's not the end of the world, right? It's like, oh my God, I can't do 4 things at once. Okay, just let it go. Just go with the flow, but it's a learning opportunity for all of us, And so, I mean, what's your take? I mean, like when I look at net worth, I think people's identity is so anchored in the wrong things. And I'm in the money business, right? I'm trying to make people money. I get that. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to protect families and make them money. And so they don't have to stress when they walk out the door. But when they walk out the door, who are they? Right?
That's true.
So
I do want to add in real quickly here, though. I cannot tell you how much I love the fact that you used money is energy. This is some deep work that I've been doing in myself. And, it's interesting. There's a 5-day challenge that I just got out of. And as we were going through, this was in day 3. And as we were going through this, I had to pose the question, it's like the question was posed, think of your relationship with money. What is it like? What's your relationship with money? It is an energy. It is meant to flow in and through you. It's meant to flow to you and out from you. And even when it flows out from you, it's very healthy for you to thank it for going and say, okay, great. I'm glad you're going. But with this question is what has my relationship with money been? And as I really started pondering that, I had to like write down a few statements, and I was like, okay, yeah, no wonder why there's a problem there. So there's this don't go kind of energy. There's this where have you been kind of energy. There's this, I got my notebook out, so that's why I'm like looking down. There's this when I receive money, there's this finally attitude. And it's funny, this 5-day challenge, the person presented that. It's like, if you were money and you had a relationship, or if you had a relationship with money, do you think money would want to stay with the kind of relationship that you've got? And that hit me kind of hard. I was like, no. If I was in a relationship with someone that was like that, don't go, where have you been? Finally, where, would I want to stay? No, I wouldn't. So it's really interesting, the relationship with money and the energy. But end of the day, back to your original point as well, it really first comes down to you. It really first comes down to you. What is your worth? What do you think of yourself? And honestly, that's also work that I constantly do on myself as well, because I am literally my worst critic all the time. Yeah, literally. It's like there's always this self chatter going on back here. Why didn't you do this better? Why didn't you do that? And da da da. Why isn't this done? Why isn't that done? You need to be faster at this. You need to put out this more. You need to do this, and you don't have clients because of this. And it's really not useful to be listening to that chatter. Tony.
Yes, so much gold. T. Harv Eker, of course, is a real expert in this money mindset field. And in fact, I was on a coaching call this morning with my business coach and in a group, and we were talking exactly about this: is where does our money mindset or our values, our beliefs around money come from? And often it's from when we were children. And so really you need to look at, okay, what were the beliefs of my parents? What was the conversations going on around money in the home environment growing up? And for me, what I noticed is that I've had this thing, you've got to work hard for your money. And so I've had this thing that making life a lot harder than it needs to be, and probably getting very distracted, not focusing my energy where I could actually bring in more money, and distracting with lots of little things that sometimes it can feel like doing lots of stuff but not getting a lot of traction, right? And there's times in my life I have had traction, and it's kind of been a bit like a yo-yo, really, a bit up and down. And really, if you think about it, there's trillions of dollars in circulation every single day around the world. There is an abundance of energy around money going on. It's just a matter of whether we tap in to that energy and whether we allow the flow of it to, and that's the thing, the flow of it to come in and to go out, like the tides, right? The tides come in and the tides go out. And it's a beautiful synchronicity. It's like the figure eight, right? Here's a figure eight right here. So it just so happens I actually live at a number 8 house as well. So 8 is a very auspicious number for me. So it's really about having that awareness, I think, around how is it that I actually do money, and not making yourself wrong about it, because I can relate to a lot of what you said there, Ken, as well. And I've had this thing that sometimes it feels like no matter how much I do, it's not enough. And I know where that comes back from my childhood, because my parents used to say, why can't you be like your brother, and things like that. And I never felt good enough. I always felt I had to prove myself. And that can be exhausting. No wonder I've had such adrenal fatigue over the years. No wonder I've been so go, and then crash, go, crash, and it's all a reflection of how my net worth is for myself. The more I do the self-love work, the more I do that inner work, the more personal development work I do, the more I find that things flow. And even when unexpected curveballs happen sometimes in my business and in my life, I'm able to move through those, see the lessons and the learnings in those, and move through them a lot quicker than ever before, the more personal development work I do. So I think this is absolutely crucial, to do the work, and not just do the work once and think you're done. I think it takes practice, right? It's like going to the gym. It takes practice. So Diane, what are some of your practices that you do to build your net worth?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, when I first started too, I had lost everything. I came from a very, when I say low to middle American family, I was raised in Lake Tahoe, which sounds glamorous, but I lived in a mobile home park. Okay. Yeah, with dirt roads, right? In Lake Tahoe. My dad worked for Safeway store for 50 years. He was great. Loved my dad. My mom had a few issues, but was raising 5 kids, and we was lacking scarcity everywhere. There was, we can't afford, like what I heard was we can't afford it. Not this year. You can get a job and pay for that. Yeah. So like Aldwyn, I grew up with, it's hard to make money. You have to work hard. You have to work hard to make money so that you can make ends meet. That's what I learned. So in my mind, I just needed to make ends meet. But I wanted what I wanted. Like if I asked for something and I didn't get it, I would go to work, get the money, and get it myself. But that's not a positive energy. No. That's like, I didn't ever get what I wanted. I got what I got. And that was my mental thing running through my head. You're never going to get what you want. You're just going to get what you get. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford, I was like, oh my gosh. After I lost everything in 2008, because I had, like you, made a lot of money, spent a lot of money, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, made a lot. It was like a roller coaster. But money didn't matter to me. I realized it wasn't about, and this is basically from one of my CEOs that actually said this in a training one day, and I went, oh, ding. Like sometimes you can hear things a million times, but when one person says it, you're ready to hear it.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And he said, I never worked to make money to be rich. I made money to be happy.
Yes.
Because what money could do for him and his family made him happy, to be able to provide for his family, to be able to go on trips, to be able to go to Hawaii, right? To be able to put, gifts under the tree or whatever, it's about the lifestyle. It's about being on this earth, having one life and being happy while you're here. And so, but some people think that, their identity is like they get in their Tesla and they think, I made it. But they might be an absolute ass. No offense. Like you might just be a jerk in a Tesla. You know what I'm saying? So money exposes who you are, good or bad, right? Weak or strong. And it's taken me 14 years in this business to even get to where I am right now. And I'm not even close to where I want to be. But it was the work that I had to do on myself and being around strong, positive people. And like you said, you have to pick some good people, some positive people that are going to support you, push you, direct you sometimes, mentors, those types of people, because you become the person that you hang out with the most. And if I looked back at my family, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. But I felt like I had to push all the time. I had to do better. It wasn't enough. I was always chasing money. Well, I'm going to take this job, but this job is offering more, so I'm going to go to this job. I didn't actually move up. I didn't actually work through the crap and work my way up in the company. I kept going laterally because I got a $5,000 raise or a $10,000 raise when I was in retail. But I ended up broke. I still ended up broke. Even though I made $5,000 more a year, nobody sat down and taught me the fundamentals of building wealth. So I made more, I spent more, I had more fun. Did I have a good time? I have had a good time. But let me tell you what's not a good time. Being 60 and broke. Being 70 and broke. Being 80 and broke.
Yes. We don't want to be working at Walmart when we're 80.
No. Right? So, they're not even standing. They're sitting on stools. Like, that's got to tell you something right there, right? They're sitting on stools going, welcome to Walmart. You're like, really? Oh my gosh, you wouldn't rather be like sipping on a Mai Tai somewhere in a pool in Hawaii, right? But America has been left behind. But I don't want them to stay behind. Like, my mission is to get them out of where they are, whether it's through the mental piece of it, whether it's through the financial piece of it, whether it's through the personal development and growth piece of it. My best advice and what I did was when I came up with, God gave me this idea. I just feel like I was divinely inspired. It's a book I'm writing. It's called Your Real Net Worth. And it's about, it's not about the bottom line. It's about all the lines in between. Right? Because if you look at your accounting, you got to put this is how much I made, and then start putting down all the other stuff. It's all the other stuff that got you to the bottom line. So you have to look at your stuff in between. And what I would start with is like, think about your character, right? What do other people think of you, right? Your ego, biggie. Most people won't grow or develop because their ego is like, they're living in a bubble of ego, and somebody needs to pop the bubble. That's called being humbled, right? We've all been there. We all kind of know what that's like. I would say ego, your values. People, like, we've gotten so far away from like, what are morals? What are values? Like, what are your core values? If I even said, what are your core values? They'd be like, I don't even know, like, what are 10 core values? Like, off the top of their head. I guarantee it, right? Morals, beliefs, like you talked about beliefs. We believe what people told us. But did we ever say, do I really believe that? Like, do I actually believe that I can't afford it? How about, how can I afford it?
Yes, that's a better
if this is something I want, how can I afford to do that? Because there's always a way, right? If you got into it, you can get out of it. If you got into it, you can get out of it. It's not going to be overnight, but you have to start taking an inventory of you. And you have to start thinking about what's really important to you and what does matter. Is it the car or the person in the car next to you?
And right. If others can do it, so can you. So I'm curious, Diane, was there a turning point for you where you went, right, this is it, time to shift gears?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's some things you just don't want to tell, but you're going to tell them anyway because somebody needs to hear it.
Thank you. Thank you.
In 2000 and I want to say 9 or 10, I had lost everything overnight, right, in that crash. I was not prepared. I made good money at my job. So I never thought money was going to be an issue until 2008 when I got laid off and the money was no longer coming in. So now all I had was what I'd saved, and that was only a couple of months emergency fund. So I had to go into my 401k and I had to cash it. Now, granted, for any of you in 2008, my 401k became a 101k, like overnight. And then I cashed it out because I needed the money to live on. I paid all the taxes and the 10% penalty because I was under 59 and a half. I took over a 65% hit on the money that I had only saved up to that point. And I was only 48, nowhere near retirement. So now I'm at ground zero because I used that money. Now I start using my credit cards to the tune of $18,000 of debt. Now my cards are maxed out. I have no income. I'm barely on like unemployment. And I have nowhere to go other than to sell my gold. So I started selling my gold from my relationships that broke up, that were no longer, right? Like old life, new life. I think I'm going to have to put food on my kids' table, so I'm going to have to cash in all my gold. But what happens when the gold runs out? It's just a Band-Aid. It's just temporary. You can only do it for so long, and then there's nowhere else to go. And I had one gold piece. I might even not make it through this. I had one gold piece that was given to my son from my dad. And it was worth, at that time, I don't know, maybe $2,500, whatever. And I had the choice of, now, because I was in this pit of despair and was so embarrassed to talk to anybody about it. And this is when I first started in finance, because I didn't have the money to even start and get my licenses. So I had to sell my gold to get my licenses. So I had to sell that gold to start my business. But it broke my heart because it wasn't mine really to sell. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it was devastating. And I didn't even tell my son that story until a few years ago. Because I was so, and I've been in business for a long time. It was so entrenched in my gut that I could find this coin. Like it's a long story, but it was a necklace and I could never find the coin. So I cashed in the gold I had, but I couldn't find the coin. And I finally said, I don't know what happened to it. But I did cash in the necklace part of it to get the money for my licenses. And it stayed with me for 10 years. I carried that around. But it was at that moment when I had to part with that I said, that's it. I will never, ever be in this situation again. I will never allow somebody to tell me that I don't have a job. I will never allow somebody to tell me that I can't feed my kid, that I can't put food on my table, that I can't give him, put him in golf lessons or whatever. Because I grew up that way and I thought, I'll never let my kid grow up that way. And then I crashed in 2008. And we had a pretty good life up until then, but he was at that time he was 13. So we had a really good life up until 13. And then the crap hit the fan in 2008. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of people. And that's when I realized I sat in that room with, a group that I was interviewing with, and they were teaching me what I should have learned 20 or 30 years ago. And I thought, this is freaking ridiculous. How could I go to college, right? Run $1 million companies for people, make money, run my own business, and end up flat broke? Because nobody taught us what we really needed to know about money, about saving, about compound interest, about, right? Like nobody sat down and said, you know what? You're 25 years old. If you start saving a couple $100 a month, you're going to be a millionaire. Nobody had that conversation with me.
No, because what they want, they want you entrapped. They want you enslaved to the system. Yes.
That's right. To debt. They want you in credit card debt. They want you to do all the things that are going to keep you down. And it's unfortunate, but that's when I kind of snapped. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm all in. I am all in, because if this company can teach me to come back from where I was at that point and build offices and do what I've done. And I'm not near where I want to go. There are so many people doing way better than me, but most of it is because of my mind, because it took me 10 years to dig myself out of lack and scarcity mentality. Don't take that long. Like sit down with somebody, find somebody to help you get out of it, because you only have one life. TikTok, right?
Yes.
And we don't know when our number's up. Like every day at least now I know, like if I die tomorrow, my kid's okay because he's gonna get some stuff, right? But back then I didn't know. I didn't know where the next meal was coming from. I was rolling quarters to put gas in my car. And that is humbling.
Thank you for sharing that, Diane. Wow, that's such a moving story. How long did it take after that when you went, right, that's it? No longer is this going to ever happen again? How long did it take then to actually be able to pull yourself out of that situation?
Years.
Mm.
Years. I mean, because I had to pay my bills. I still had to make a living and pay off all the debt. Debt is modern day slavery.
Mm.
Debt is modern day slavery. As long as you owe money, you will continue to be a slave and continue to have to work for the rest of your life if you owe money. And I've been in and out of debt, in and out of debt, in and out of debt, because you slip. What happens is you get on this track, right? You're doing well. And then all of a sudden, right? Something happens. You hit like and so then you kind of go backward. Sometimes you go a little backwards and then you got to go back again, right? I think what happens is nothing is going to happen overnight. Like nobody's going to sit you down and just hypnotize you and it's all going to be fine the next day. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's happened for some of you. I'm not really hypnotic. Like people have tried to hypnotize me. I'm like, what is this? Like, when is this going to happen? Right. But I think it's because I believe that too. Do you know what I mean? It's like your mind is so powerful and everything that you tell yourself is going to come true. Good or bad.
So true. So
you
true.
Bring about what you think about. I'm not going to go into the whole secret thing and all that, but at the end of the day, you can go to the Bible, you can go to the secret, you can go to all these ancient teachings, you can go to Napoleon Hill. They all say the same thing.
100%.
And if you don't wrap your mind, if you don't get right with your mind, if you don't get your mind right, your life will not be right.
One of the statements that the person said in this 5-day challenge that was leading it, which also hit me. And I was like, oh. So forgive me. This is probably the one time I'm going to say this word on this show. So I pray to God that there's nobody here that gets offended at this one word. But when she said this statement, I was like, oh, fuck. That's the word, by the way. If I haven't made my millions yet, it's by design. It is by design, the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has literally been programmed in a way to where it thinks money is unsafe for me. So therefore, the conscious mind is literally searching for everything out there that supports that particular view. And therefore, I have not made my millions yet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's powerful. And, I mean, that's why you have to do so much work on yourself. And I think that's why I started thinking about, because you see all these people around you with money. Like I'm driving my Honda Civic still because it's paid for, and why trash it if it's still good? Like, don't fix it if it's not broken. I'll get a new car, but I'll get a new car when I'm ready to get a new car. But sometimes you look around, you're like, oh, it would be really nice to be in that car right now. Or, oh, I wish I were the one on the Instagram post in Positano, Italy, right? With the umbrellas and the drinks and this and that, but I'm working my butt off. Right? So you always want what other people have, right? We all want, but here's what I want. I want you to want what you want. And I think sometimes we don't sit back. Like, I don't know if you guys ever read a book. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gruber.
Yes. Probably
one of the best books I've ever read. And I love the hospitality industry, and he has some stuff about that in there, but the book it's basically like, okay, as a person, like if you're an entrepreneur, for anybody who's an entrepreneur out there, you're wearing 3 hats, right? You're the engineer, the technician, you're the guy doing the stuff, right? Then you're also the manager. You got to manage your business. You got to book your business. You got to follow up on the business. You got to do the advertising, the marketing, the social media, right? So that's the marketing job. And then you have to be an actual visionary. You actually have to say, oh, what's the vision for my company? What's the vision of my company? How am I going to scale my company? That's a lot of work for one person. Right?
Yeah.
So it teaches you, though, to either compartmentalize, but most people never get to the visualization part. They never actually sit down and say, what do I want? What do I stand for? What do I want this to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Do I even want to be baking cupcakes 10 years from now, right? Or do I want, do I want 10 bakeries, right? With 10 people that I have taught to bake my cupcakes. So, but nobody actually sits down and does the vision part. And that's where the mind work comes in. That is where the inventory of who you are comes in. Because we can all say, now, each one of you can sit here and say, here's where I am right now, right? Here's where I am. Here's where I want to go. Well, what got you here is not going to get you here. So you're going to have to do some more work, right? Some more heavy lifting. But you have to get clear on who you want to be. And sometimes it's hard. Like I went through a transition when my relationship of 14 years broke up and I'm on my own and now I'm in debt and I'm like taking care of my kid and trying to get him through high school and run and start this brand new business that I know nothing about. It was frightening, but it was also exhilarating. And it stretches you and you start to figure out just what you're capable of. If you put your mind to it and you have the right people around you.
Here's the thing I want to say about that. See, the interesting thing about, yes, the visual work, and it's so huge that you mentioned that. Because right now I'm actually going through a book and I'm going through the audio version of it. And it is, so first of all, what I'm going to say about this book before I say the title of it is, yes, this book is to do with money, but I'm literally going to say, and I'm going to say this in a phenomenally good way. So don't take this statement wrong. And me thinking, and me meaning that it's a negative, because it's not. It is a 110% positive, because you have no idea. Do not judge this book by its cover. And I mean that in 110% really good way. This book is powerful. This book is literally going to take you going through it a couple times to get the concepts behind it. But this book is gold. I'm loving this book. And one of the things that this guy goes through in this book, and the name of it's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Again, don't judge the book by its cover. It's much, much, much deeper than that. Much deeper than that. Talks about quantum physics, talks about the energy of money, talks about all kinds of different things. One of the things he goes through, and I believe it's chapter 17. Yes, I've got it right here in my notes, chapter 17. Is the visualization work is very important, because you take, for example, this pen, okay? This pen in itself is a very neutral item. Very neutral. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing, it's just a pen. It exists as a pen. Where it becomes something more is what I've learned about this pen. So the subconscious mind pulls up the photos, the files on a pen, experiences with a pen. Oh yeah, let me grab that. Experiences with this, experiences with that, and it all is revolving around the pen. So now the picture around this pen has changed. I know this pen is blue. I like the color blue. So there's now an emotion attached to that. The whole point is each thing in your life is literally neutral. Money is a very neutral thing. But everything you've learned about money in the past is exactly what gets pulled up when you've got that physical money. Even though the money is very neutral, but your mind is pulling up all these images, all these experiences that you've had, and that's what you attach to money. So now money means that to you. So now with that in mind, this is where visualization, bleh, is, got a little tongue tied there. Gets very, very important. And this is where you literally sit down and you start writing down, what would you like to have, do, and be in the next 30 years? This can be anything from places to visit, residences, experiences, things to have, things to do, skills to acquire, people to meet, projects, that you want to do, health, habits, all of that. And then what you do is you build a list of, he said at the very minimum 100, but if you really, really, really want to accelerate the destination that you want to get to, 5,000. He says you write them down. It doesn't matter how big nor small each thing is. Then what you start doing is you start building upon that list. Things like your house that you want to be living in. You start grabbing images, pictures, all kinds of different things, and put it in your visualization journal. Wow, I keep getting tongue-tied on that word. But anyhow, and then you develop the practice of looking at it each day, putting those images in your mind each day to get your subconscious mind used to these things. This way, eventually, down the line, when you pick up the pen, now it's no longer just a blue pen to you. It's something that's much more and way better. Does that make sense? Kind of a silly way to put it forth, but the visualization work and the inner work is so crucial and important.
Absolutely.
So you said earlier, Diane, what you think about and think about, you bring about. You said what you think about, you bring about. I add the think about. And, you know, The Secret was a great movie. It didn't talk too much about action, you know, just put it out there and it'll happen. So I think, you know, when you see your future, when you can visualize it and you can see yourself in it and you can feel it and be grateful for it and do that consistently, build the practice of that, then that will overcome any subconscious blockages that might be there consciously or unconsciously. You'll be able to move through any obstacle the clearer you are on your vision, where you want to go. And in fact, my business coach now has said, one of the tasks for me is to actually every morning and every night to look at my vision board and to pick something on my vision board and to actually see myself achieving that thing or being there or whatever it is, and appreciating it and all of that. So and that's something I'll be taking on board now with my vision board that is sitting there and that's often not looked at. Up until now.
It's interesting because what's also interesting, like one of my mentors is like, do you ever think about what you think about?
That's a good one.
Like, do you actually take time to think about what you're thinking about?
Lately, yes.
Yes, but most of the time we're just having all these thoughts run through our head, and there's so many that it's exhausting.
And here's the thing about most of those thoughts. I will add to that, Diane. Most of those thoughts, 95% of those thoughts, one, they're either in the past or they're either in the future. Only 5% of the time, literally only 5% of the time, are we ever in the now. And this is something that I've been kind of working on, and just recently, within the last just few days, is learning how to step back and stop thinking future, stop thinking past, and go now, and then treat this now moment as if it's brand new. Even though what I'm about to embark on is something that I've been doing for a while. But literally treating that now moment and the task that's in front of me as a brand new opportunity to maybe do something different than what I did before.
It also, though, allows you to focus on the task, because what happens is our mind wanders, or we get on our phone. There's so many distractions that keep us from actually getting the stuff done, what we need to get done, because we're so distracted by everything else going on around us. But if you can stay in the present moment, I call it the zone, right? You just kind of get in the zone. You can get stuff done way faster if you're organized, if you're actually in that moment with the moment. It's hard. So for a lot of people, it's hard. Like, I have a bit of ADD, so squirrel. Like it's not easy. Squirrel.
Speaking of squirrel, I've got to share this right there. You just said it just as you said it. So my mind wanders so easily. I mean, squirrel. Sorry, that's perfect.
It's so true, right? So you're sitting there and you're trying to get this thing done, right? The big rock, I call it the frog on your list, right? You try and get the hard things done first, but you can get so distracted just in that short period of time. And it ends up taking hours to get something done that should have taken you like 45 minutes.
Correct.
And so, there's so many tangents that we could go on, right, on this, but just kind of reeling it back in, and I don't know how much time we have, but
4 minutes.
4 minutes, I'm counting. Okay.
So unless you want to go a little longer, this is now totally up to you and what your time is going to allow.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to cut people off if there's some people that have questions or anything like that, or you guys have any other questions. I'm clearly losing light here. I now have a tan. I'm really very pale, but right now I have a pretty good tan going. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Honestly.
Well, you're definitely not a shady character, that's for sure. We know that. We know you're not shady. You're coming into the light there.
A little fun. It's just me and my shadow, right? So me, myself, and I. I think what I challenge people to do, and this is one of my mentors, he said to do this. He said, make $1 million budget. Like if you were making $1 million right now, a year, $1 million a year, just do an exercise and do $1 million budget. What would you want your life to look like? That's a great exercise because, sometimes the dream boards, I like the dream boards because I do a lot of them. We believe in touching your dreams. Like we do affirmations around what's on the dream board, because that's the only way you're going to reprogram your subconscious. That's like a whole nother day, right? I'm sure you've had people on about that, but just going, because here's what I've noticed, like going through magazines, you'd say, oh, I like to travel. Where's the next place I want to go? Oh, I want to go to, like for me, it's Seoul, South Korea, right? Like I'm dying to go to Seoul, South Korea. I'm a Korean drama junkie. Like if we have to do anything tonight, we have to confess something, right? So for me, I'm like 61 years, it's whatever. I'm 61 years old and I'm a Korean drama junkie. I love K-pop. I love BTS. I love all of it. And it's just so funny because what I've realized is that I start thinking about things and then they start appearing. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Like you're looking, you buy a red car and now you see 100 red cars. You become pregnant. Now everyone around you is like going to deliver a baby. I don't know how that works, but that's what I'm talking about. So whatever you're thinking about, but if you actually sat down and said, I got $1 million. What am I going to do with that $1 million? It's similar to what you said, Ken, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. I did a lot of studying with Jack Canfield early on. Like he doesn't, I read all of his books. I mean, I thought he was phenomenal because he was like he's like the entrepreneur coach, starter coach. Like he wrote a book called The Success Principles. And if you want to be an entrepreneur and you've never really like thought about, how am I going to do this or whatever, that book changed my life because it made me inventory thoughts of mine. But then fast forward, now I've gotten through that. If you could physically make $1 million budget, and now all of a sudden you're like, what do I do with $1 million a year? Like I'm living off of like, some people are like, I'm making like 30 grand or I'm like making like 75 grand. How am I going to live off $1 million a year? It changes your entire perspective on your life.
Yes, that would.
Just do it. Like, what personal chef do you want? Right? What's the gym going to look like in your house? I'm going to build a basketball court.
Whew. Yeah.
Right? Because I love basketball. But I'm just saying, like, if you start really thinking about it, and of course, we're going to save some money too. Just know that you have to max out all of your accounts because you can't. Here's the thing. You can't spend $1 million. But if you had $1 million and it made 10% this year in the market, that's $100,000 that you could be living off of.
Exactly.
But that's not how we're taught to think. Make your money, pay your bills, save a little. Make your money, pay your bills, save a little. I want to teach you to front load your life.
Yeah.
But you have to have your life in front of you. You have to know what you're looking to get. Because if you want to be a millionaire, you could be a millionaire. But you have to figure out, what does that mean to you? What does being a millionaire mean to you? What is that going to allow you to do? That's when you start doing it. Because Jack Canfield, in his book, he said, you write down 100 things that you want to do in your life, or that you want to see. Same thing. I guarantee you, leave today, just try and write down 100 things. You're going to get to about 70 something and go, I'm pretty happy right now. Like, if I got all 75 of these, like, I'm pretty happy.
That's, that's kind of like a thought that was in my head with this guy in this book.
5,000?
Money. Like, 5,000. He says 5,900. I'm like, that is an overwhelming number. But you know what? Here's the way I began to, and I was thinking that today. I'm like, that just feels very overwhelming. But then I caught myself in that moment, and I was like, but wait a minute. What if I don't look at the 5,000? What if I just start with what I can start? And I'm pretty sure that as days and months flow, I will continue to add to the list. And pretty soon I will have 5,000.
That's the whole point. Because if, let's say I get to Seoul, South Korea, and now I'm in Korea and I'm looking around and I get this other idea. Oh, I'm going to do this. Now you've added something else to your list. Do you understand? Yeah. Oh, now I want to go here. Oh, well, do you see what I mean? So
yes.
But that's how it starts. But if you can't come up with 100 things, you're not going to come up with 500,000.
Oh, I'm sure I can come up with at least 25 to 30 just on the way I want my house to look.
But that's kind of my point. But most people don't get that detailed. Why? Because we don't have time. Wake up. You got your kids off to school. You go to work all day. You come home. You mind to try and work out for 30, 40 minutes. You got to sit down and eat dinner with the family. And then you've got a little bit of private time before you have to go to bed and do it all again. Mm-hmm. So when are you going to sit and make your list of 100? Because you're thinking in your mind, oh, that's not going to happen. Most people don't even do a budget. They don't even do their budget because they don't have time. So they're just winging it.
The interesting thing about that statement, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Negative talk. That's talk, though.
That is. But see, here's the interesting thing around that. Let's take money, since we are talking a lot about money today and your self-worth and all of that. Let's take money. Also, in this particular 5-day challenge, this statement was made like you've got a wave and you've got an ocean. Okay, so does the wave say to the ocean, well, I need to connect to you. I need to connect over here. Or is the wave already a part of the ocean? Now, it's actually the same thing with money. It's actually the same thing with hope. It's the same thing with all of these different concepts, all of these different energies. I want to travel. I want, I would like this house. All of those things, all of those energies, they're actually already part of you. You are already connected to it. Ask and you shall receive. Different things like that. All of this is already ours. And I think it's huge and it's key to recognize that the energy of being and making $1 million a year, that's already an energy that you have a part of and you can embrace and you can grab. I know it sounds a little bit woohoo, but
esoteric.
Yeah. These are things I'm just now starting to wrap my head around in concept. Like, okay, so now how do I utilize this energy that is already mine? Well, part of that is, it's not an overnight thing. It's not just, this isn't some magical trick that's just like tomorrow's you're going to be a millionaire. Tomorrow you're going to have all the clients you want. Tomorrow you're going to, no. This does take some inner work, and that's where the visualization goes. That's where, writing it down, reprogramming, putting new pictures inside your head and different things like that. And remembering that you are actually part of the ocean. You do not need to go connect to that powerful source. everything you want, everything in the universe is already a part of you. I mean, good grief. Let's take it a step further. You are literally part of God's DNA.
But the problem is that most people don't feel deserving of it. They've come from these backgrounds, from these belief systems that have been ingrained in them, and they don't believe they're worthy of it. Okay. That it's not for them. I just, that's not what, and some people make excuses. They'll say like, oh, well, I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be this. I don't need to have that. They want it, but they're going to settle because they're angry that other people have it and they don't. So it's easier to say, I don't need a big house. I don't need this. And I'm not saying that you do. I'm not saying you need to be a big house to be happy. That's the whole point of your real net worth. You have to be happy in the little house, the apartment, the condo, or the freaking mansion. Like, you have to be happy. But at the end of the day, if you are trying to get to those places and you do want those things for your life, you have to work for them. You can't just visualize them and they appear. You actually have to put in the work too. But if you're working for it and you believe in it, at some point, the belief and the work connect. Yes. And that's called I deserve it.
That's also called being.
It's where you actually come to it, right? It's like, I deserve this. I'm worthy of this. But it's also, what are you going to do with it? Like, a lot of people push off success because they think success is going to make them work harder. Like, what if I do get successful? What am I going to, like, how am I going to handle that? Like, what am I going to do?
I would be lying if I said that those thoughts have never entered my mind. Right. Even in recent days, it's like, how am I going to monetize my business? When I do get, when I do get that cap of clients to where I can't get any more personal one-on-one clients, what's that going to look like?
Yeah, it would be like Ken saying, okay, well, you know what? Now I can afford to join the country club.
Yeah.
But if you went to a country club, and I'm not saying you can or can't, I'm just making this
right.
up.
No, I get, yeah.
If you could walk in, like Ed Milet talks about this a lot. If you walk into a country club and you're broke, but you want to see what it's like to be in a country club, you feel like you don't belong.
Yeah.
Like you're not one of them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But the more you go, the more you show up to the country club, the more familiar you become with it. And the more you start to fit in. And then pretty soon you make some friends playing golf. And pretty soon you're at a function. And pretty soon you've done the work to get, do you understand?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This isn't, it's not like a quick fix anything. This takes time. But if you don't start now, it will never happen. That I can promise you, because I've been working at it for 14 years and I'm not quite there yet. You know what I mean? No. So my advice is start now. Right? Yes. Like, get yourself on track and do it as quickly as possible and let that crap go. Whatever's holding you back, just let it go. Make your $1 million budget, figure out what's important to you, and it will start to transpire. I don't know how to explain it. It just does, but you have to stay in a positive mindset. You can't be around negativity. And I there's many people I love in my life, but it's hard. And I've had some friends, man, they've stuck by me, good and bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Those are my besties. Those are the people who are like, the 2 a.m.ers, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're like having a meltdown at 2 a.m. and you can pick up the phone and call those people. You have to have those people in your life too, right? But build a circle of influence around you, people that will support you. And no matter, it's like a lot of people, like when I told them that I was going into finance, they're looking at me like, is she like kidding? Like, doesn't she owe me money? Or didn't she just borrow money from you, Dad? Or, you know what I mean? Like, because I was in a bad way. Of course I did. So they didn't see me as a finance person. That was like the biggest laugh of all. But I did it. And you can do it. Like, anybody can do what they want to do. Hopefully, within reason. Like, don't. I'm not telling you to be Evel Knievel or anything. But, I'm just saying there's so much, we hold, like Ken said, hold so much power inside of us.
Yes.
So we're not tapping into any of the energy, and it's mostly because of what's going on in here.
100%.
Yeah. So, I appreciate you guys. I mean, honestly, I'd like to get to know you guys more, right? Like Aldwyn, I want to get to know you better and spend some time on some topics that you have at some point on or off screen. I would love that. But you guys have been awesome. And I just feel really privileged to even be able to sit down and talk about this stuff, because if one person gets something that I said, I will be happy.
Oh, there's been just so much gold here, Diane. I mean, I've been wanting to come in and say things. There's just a beautiful flow of conversation going on.
I'm sorry, and I've been like, and I keep like jumping in there, and sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, oh my gosh, my co-host has not had a chance to share anything.
Oh, no, all good. No, you just said so much that I've wanted to add to. And so I will add a few things quickly. And thank you, Justin, for all your amazing comments in the chat there as well. The thing about the 60,000 thoughts a day, I just want to come back to that for a minute. So 95% of our thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday, which is usually about worrying about the future or the past. And 80% of our thoughts are negative for most people. So you think about the 80-20 rule. That's what's going on for most people. And it is that iceberg thing that's going on. So the minute we get the consciousness around what are our limiting beliefs, what have been stopping us. And, some people are quite happy in comfort zone, right? They're quite happy in struggle mode, in survival, in making ends meet, right? In fact, probably 80% of people out there are like that. However, really, the question to ask is, what is it that you are really committed to for your life? How do you want your life to look? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? How do you want to be remembered? Those kind of questions, right? Is what are you here on the planet for? Because we know that most people die with regrets. Most people die wishing that they'd done certain things or been certain places or whatever it is. So what is it that you want for your life? Because really, when you think about, a third of people die by the age of 65, 1/3 of the population. And we've seen through COVID, so many people just drop off like flies. In fact, just in the last week, I've had a friend lost a mother, another friend lost a father, people just dropping off all over the place. And, this is the way life goes. So it's about, what are you going to make the time for, right? Because we have this racket that runs. And I know I've had this racket. Oh, too much to do, not enough time. Too much to do, not enough time, right? And so I just make things harder for myself. I have made things harder for myself. Up until now, I have made things harder for myself than they actually need to be. And where can I find more flow in life? Where can I, connect? So I love what you said, Ken, about the wave and the ocean. The wave is part of the ocean. And the wave often doesn't realize it's the ocean. And often I think we swim against the tide. We're swimming, we're swimming uphill, right? Instead of actually riding the waves and riding the king tides and riding, because the waves are going to come in all sorts. They're going to be big waves, little waves. It's about riding it however it goes and enjoying the journey. I really believe that is the trick to all of this. And on the topic of net worth, there's a common saying out there that your network is your net worth. However, I believe, and your network can be your net worth. However, as we're talking about here, your net worth is an inside job. And the more you have self-worth equals your net worth. Self-worth equals net worth, as well as, yes, network can equal net worth. However, if you don't do that self-work, is what we've been talking about, the foundation of this whole conversation, which has been absolutely gold, doing the work around that foundational stuff of building that self-worth, realizing that you are an extraordinary being on the planet. You are 1 in a billion just by being born. Right. You are here for a reason, right? And so much more we could talk about.
It's funny. It's funny just to end, and I hear this a lot. Your network is your net worth, but what network are you in? That's based on your personal net worth. That's what you believe about yourself. Those are the people. Do you understand? So you're right. Your network could be your net worth, but are you in the right network? Like you're going to attract people who are just like you right now. And if you're not where you want to be, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need a new room.
Yes.
Right? If you're the smartest person or the coolest person in the room, you need to be in another room with people that are cooler than you, because it's the law of the lid, as John Maxwell would say. It's like, you're here, you're going to bring people up to here. But if you don't keep going up, they're going to stay. You're all going to stay there. It's the law of the lid. So you have
Yes.
to keep growing and morphing and, and getting through stuff. And it's a journey, and it's work, but it's worth it. It'll be worth it.
Absolutely, Diane. So much gold. Thank you so much for being our guest today. We could just keep you on here and keep chatting with you, but I know you have to go. So how can people connect with you, Diane, and work with you?
Well, you can drop my, this is my website. Like, obviously you can drop my website into whatever the chat or whatever it is. And you can, just book an appointment on there, and we can chat, and literally, it's just literally a quick consultation. And it could be about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be about finance. It could be about anything that we talked about. I usually don't put out my cell phone number because I get some weird stuff sometimes, but if you just contact me through there, that's the fastest way. You can it goes straight to my email. So, and I'm very good at getting back to people. I am going to a convention for about 5 days, but I will get back to you.
Awesome.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And that link we've just popped in the chat there, financialrevolution.com/Diane Williams. And Diane is Diane, Williams, WILLIAMS. Financialrevolution.com/Diane Williams. You will find a link to get in touch with Diane. Thank you so much, Diane, for being our guest. We do like to end with our favorite quote or motto as well, which we could come back to in just a moment with that. And we'll maybe just come to...
Yeah, just a moment there. I've got to share this comment because it just made me laugh. Justin, you and your comments, I love them. I love them. Keep them coming, buddy. But check this out. So he wants to connect just to find the best taco spot in Los Angeles.
Not sure you can change my mind though. Oh, he's obviously got a favorite there. Okay. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for all your comments. So many great from Justin in there, by the way, in the chat there. You'll find it all on Facebook.
And one more here just for Diane, this person, Janet, thank you so much for your comment. Wow, great stuff.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet Wilson. And we'll come to your favorite motto or quote in just a moment, Diane. Ken, where can people connect with you?
Well, you can connect with me on my link tree, which Aldwyn, you should have that, and she'll be putting that up in the screen. There's 3 things on my link tree. I mean, I've got like probably about 6 or 7 different links on there, but the top first 3 links are the most important. The first one is to join my growing Facebook community group. You guys, there's some powerful stuff that I'm putting up in that group. I also just did a special interview today with a guy by the name of Adam. Really great tips that we shared in there with that. And so that's number 1. Number 2 is my website, www.masteryweightloss.com. That is my actual website. You can find out more about me there. 3, I think 3 is actually really, really important. That is my calendar link. That's how you book an appointment with me. Look, you're going to book an appointment with me. I'm going to find out where you are and whether I can help you or not. Yes, I will go through my pricing with you. No, I don't do high pressure selling. I'm not going to pressure you to buy into my packages. I am going to be honest with you about my prices. I might even cut you a little bit of a deal. Who knows? But thing of it is I want to just, even if it's just to connect and get to know you, book that appointment with me. Let's go.
And sales is service. So you can find Ken at linktree/fatfighterken, linktr.ee/fatfighterken, FATFIGHTER, Ken, which has got all those links in it, right, Ken?
Yeah. And yes, it does. And Linktree is actually, so it's www.linktr.ee. So it's not, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And people can connect with me at linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. I've got about 50 links in there, so have a lot of fun going through those. I have my calendar link. I have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. It's all there. BitChute, Rumble for some of our more controversial content that we've put out there that has been censored on Facebook and YouTube. We've got it up on BitChute and Rumble, so check out some of those. One is called The Dangers of Mask Wearing, another one about 5G. We've got very interesting interviews that we've put up there, and some of our Total Truth shows also have been amazing. So you might want to check out our previous episodes. You'll find Total Truth Show on Facebook. Please like the page, share this video if you've liked what you've seen today. Let us know what you've thought of it. What have you learned today? Let us know your gold nuggets, and we'll wrap up with our favorite quotes for the day in just a moment. And I do encourage you to get involved with the Global Good News Challenge. It's a free challenge every month sharing gratitude and good news that will definitely help shift your state, get you into a positive mindset. It will definitely improve your self-worth and your net worth and your network as well, no doubt, as we have some awesome people involved in that. So full details on the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page, which is in my link tree right there. Okay, favorite quote or motto? Let's go to you, Diane.
Oh, there's so many. Today, I think I'll choose a rising tide lifts all boats.
Love that one. A rising tide lifts all boats. Yes, beautiful. Love that. And Ken, what's your favorite quote for the day or motto?
Well, since we were touching on, just building that new vision and building a list of, what is that life going to look like, for you making $1 million a year. And to do that kind of work, though, it's going to take some intention. So with that, I'm going to simply share this. It's up over here on my wall. You can have hope for your motive. You cannot hope for your motivation for the day. You must be intentional about it. Start your day with intention and keep going through your day with intention. Don't just hope your way through the day. Don't hope to be motivated. Set intention to be motivated. Don't hope to make that list on what it looks like to make $1 million a year, what that life's going to look like. Set an intention to make that list.
Beautiful, Ken. I love that. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is a Gandhi one: be the change you wish to see in the world. And I'm going to share two little cards I drew this week, which have been sitting on my desk. These two little cards from one of my little card decks. One is purpose, and purpose, it says, as a master, I am motivated by the meaning of my life, persevering regardless of all obstacles. I never deviate. And the next one is discipline. Discipline. I recognize the value of time and of effort. As a master, I have the power to resist all forms of inertia. And you are a master, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Any final words from Diane or Ken before we wrap up today?
Oh, I would say just keep dreaming, because dreams come true.
Yes, love it. Keep those dreams alive. What you think about and think about, you will bring about. And yes, Justin, we'd love to have you as a guest on the show sometime. Thank you so much for checking out Justin's comments also in the chat. Sending you lots of love today, wherever you are in the world, and wishing you the most magnificent future.
And treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation.
Yes. And Justin, sing it with me. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. I might put the links there. Don't stop believing. Yeah, I love it.
But you're playing that music from Journey. Is that them?
Yes.
Yes, that's it. That's the song.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Lots of love. Thank you so much, Diane, once again. We'll see you again on our next episode here at Total Truth Show. Check out our other episodes. You're going to love them as well. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us.